Okay, there are people.
Okay,
This
and we
AMA,
are up.
oh, pooling AMI doesn't involve
Yes.
swimmer, right? Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
We did have a company party on the beach that involved disappointingly little swimwear. Would have been nice for it to be a little more thematic.
And coming live from Tokyo.
Hey everyone.
Afternoon or morning, right?
Morning, yeah.
You're looking very ominous hacker there, Mariano.
Okay. Getting everything squared away so I can see questions and such. We are live on YouTube. The link is in the ecosystem channel, so hopefully they'll put that in everywhere else. About another minute and we can kind of get started. If you're watching live on YouTube, we will probably only have a couple people peeking at the YouTube comments. Primarily comments and questions should be in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar or in general on the Keybase public feed.
I'm going to get myself something to drink. Give me one sec here.
Yep. I came prepared. Apparently, there was an earthquake down in the Bay Area. Though I didn't feel it, and Paul and Berkeley didn't feel it. So, the earthquake was just a lot of people starting up plotters again. Well, obviously, going to wait another minute for Bram to return with refreshments. Any questions that you need to ask, please go ahead and queue those up. And we'll get on them as soon as Bram is back. I saw a Bram shadow, so he's close. There we go. Okay, once you get your headsets on there, we'll get started.
All right, I'm back.
Yep, welcome back. I want to say a few words, and then we'll start taking questions. And Bram may want to say some things too. First of all, we released pooling later last night. We had one little last-minute bug that we had to track down. I think overall we're really happy with this release. I can tell you it was a tremendous amount of effort by many people on the team, and I really want to pause here and congratulate them on the work they did. Adam, Mariano, everybody, Matt. It's a real team effort. Everybody was all hands on deck. Doing this pool protocol is a lot more involved than I think people kind of initially assumed, but that's because it's a pretty darn superior pool protocol. Bram has a blog post up that went up late last night and is tweeted out today again, and Bram, we're probably going to talk more about that. A couple little minor things. There are one or two niggles in that release, so we'll probably release a 1.2.1 sometime early next week. Nothing too serious, but definitely want to address a couple things we've seen. Bram.
Yeah, we're part of just normal software development. We would like to be in more of a rhythm of regular small releases here. Just this was a big project. So our pooling protocol, first and foremost, the farmers are still making the blocks. Just from a being distributed and security standpoint, it's very scary when the pools are the ones making the blocks, because then it's very easy for them, a bunch of them, to collude. It makes a lot more sense for the farmers to be making blocks. It also makes it easy to run a pool. So our pooling protocol does that. It also makes it so that when you make plots, you don't have to replot to switch between pools. And it makes it so that when there is a pool, they can know that the people who are pointing their plots to that pool at the current time are actually pointing it to them, and they're not double farming across many different pools. And this is all set up in a way where the incentives are right and the technical security things are right, so that pool operators don't have to like vet people and worry about people stiffing them, and that people who are farming know that the worst that could happen if they go with a pool is that pool is going to start stiffing them, and then they can just switch to a different pool. Pools are not capable of locking people down and not letting them leave the pool. And this is all done really on layer 2. There is a hook on the consensus layer to enable all of this, but that just has to do with how the rewards are handed out. That's very minimal. All the logic about pointing to a pool and switching between pools and claiming rewards and all that stuff, that's all written in Chialisp. And this was a really great application of our on-chain programming environment and what it can do. And we learned a lot in the process of building it.
Cool. Mariano, you want to add anything?
I don't have much to add. I would just like to say that it's more difficult to build a pool for proof of space than for proof of work, which is part of why it's a little bit more complex, but it's also more powerful. And one other thing is that with proof of space, pooling is also more secure because people are running their own nodes. And that is part of that is because Chia is very efficient, so anyone can run a node, but also because people are storing a bunch of files anyway, so storing another DV for a full node is not like a huge task. That said, users can have someone else run their node for them if they want to in the future, and that's something that we're going to enable at some point.
On that note, people in Europe with the carrier grade NAT have this problem in a bad way, and so that's one of the things we want to be able to work around for folks. Before we get too many questions, I'm going to take the one that we always get. Well, the two we're always getting, we're still getting it today. When pools? Well, we launched them yesterday. So for the first time in a long time, the answer is yesterday.
Yeah.
The second one is, you mean I can't upgrade the plots that we've told you since last November that you could not upgrade? And that's correct. You cannot upgrade the original pool plots, but you can keep farming them. If you want to move over to pooling, Bram suggested that you delete one, add one, delete one, add one, and just keep going like that. Question, let's see. Somebody thinks they've got their first NFT plot in Windows using MadMax. Is it correct that it's a .plot file? And the answer is yes. These plot files don't look any different than the old plot files, and I'd suggest using using a different directory for the ones that are to portable pooling. Looking at questions here. For those not using the new pooling protocols plots right away, will it matter if we wait for 1.21 to update our client?
If you are making plots, you really, really should be using the latest software to make the plots. In terms of running your full node and everything. Well, actually, in terms of running your full node and harvesters and stuff, if you're not actually farming on those plots yet, yeah, you could wait. I mean, we're not breaking anything old here, really. The only thing that we've broken is if you were one of the very, very few people who used the undocumented feature of making plots which went to a puzzle hash that was there before, we kind of broke how that works. But that's not a consensus thing. That's just a plot file format thing. So you really should upgrade before you start making plot files for that. But it's only really breaking stuff for a literal handful of people who are doing that. And they, of course, can replot or just keep using an old version of the farming software.
But yeah, to answer the rest of the question, if you're using 1.1.7 happily, you're not creating any new plots right now, you can wait for 1.2.1. The issues around 1.2.1 are, one is related to joining pools. So the other one is potentially about remote harvesters. So if you're a remote harvester user, it might be worth waiting for 1.2.1.
But also to add to that, basically what Bram said is if you're using the -C flag, the -C flag, when creating plots, you need to use the new version. Don't use the old version with -C. That's a pretty important thing to keep in mind. You can use the old version for old plots, OG plots, but if you're using -C with the pool contract address, use the new plotter.
I split my plots between multiple PlotNFTs. Can pools track them together per wallet, or will they see each nifty as a separate farmer?
The partials they'll see as a separate farmer. This is kind of on the pools, right? If they want to start supporting that kind of advanced logic, they can, although it's not really all that different. You're just giving someone credit as this batch for them. Although if someone has like a whole bunch of nifties, then it might make sense for them to use a higher threshold for all of them, just to cut down on the number of like times they have to check in with the pool.
Yeah, the kind of sub question on that question was, if I split my plots between, say, 10 NFTs, we'll have to wait 10 times longer to reach minimum payout. And the answer is yeah, unless the pool has made something newer and fancier on their side.
Well, it's making each one of them individually. That gets weird because each one of them is individually noisy, but it's kind of averaged out across all of them. But pools, I'm not super well versed on pool reward schedules, but they tend to be a little bit skeptical of rewards, so they don't happenstance over reward anybody. So you might wind up getting dinged in the end if you do that. But that gets into like pretty deep minutiae of pool reward schedules.
Yeah, and I'd also add, I would not recommend having more than one PlotNFT. Once you have your PlotNFT, you can always bring it back to self-pooling. And, kind of the point of pooling is if you don't have enough space you need to pool, you probably want to put all that space in one place. So,
yeah, in the future, we'll support like transferring PlotNFTs to other people and things like that. We haven't built that yet.
Can we change the PlotNFT names? Flabby Aardvark isn't doing it for me. Mariano?
No, you cannot change those at the moment.
Can we support changing those later?
Yeah, those are just a GUI thing. They can be modified. You can right-click, inspect element, and change it yourself if you want to, but it's going to go away.
Yeah. Well, pull requests, welcome, and we'll put it on the list. Like Paul's listening. I see that you need to own Chia to join a pool. Can you expand on that a bit? How much Chia, etc.?
Hardly any Chia. It's just enough to have a transaction fee go through. Right now, transaction fees are basically nothing. At some point in the future, transaction fees won't be nothing. We're expecting there to be lots of usage as we succeed in getting people interested in actually doing stuff on Chia, which will result in real transaction fee pressure at some point in the future. We will build an alternate pooling protocol in the future where you dedicate your plot to a particular pool when it's made, so that you don't have to use, so that you don't have to set up a plot NFT at all, which will be a good solution for people who only have like 2 plots and want to join a pool for that. But that's not needed right now. So we haven't built it yet.
Yeah, that's in the pipeline. How can you tell if your pooled plot was plotted correctly? I don't see any differences in the CLI between OG plots and the pooled ones.
Plots are identical between old plots, OG plots, and new plots. There's no difference. They both have the plot ID in the file name. So there is no real way to tell. Just make sure to use the plot contract address. Use the right address when you're plotting it. And if you're getting points from your pool, then you know it's working correctly. If you're not getting points from your pool, then something's wrong. So I guess that's the way to really know.
Your harvester GUI should show you this info, right?
I don't think we expose it easily.
Oh, yeah.
It shows you the points from the pool, but it doesn't show you whether the plot is correct or not. I mean, you might have a correct plot, but you might be plotting to the wrong address, right? So that
it doesn't. We don't yet show. Okay, I have this many plots for this NFT, and
oh yeah, you do know the number of plots. That's true. Yeah, you can see the plots in the GUI as well.
Yeah, I think this is a minor enhancement request that we should kind of take a note of, because you know, like having plots checked, just be able to tell you this in verbose mode would be handy, right? But plots check will tell you at least if the plot's right. If you're doing a 30 plus in on the plots check and it's coming back, the plot itself is fine. You just don't necessarily know that you've got it pointed at the right place. Question about difficulties. The default difficulty is 9, but some pools are set to 10. Could a plot that would pass difficulty 9 if potentially of 1 not pass because the pool's difficulty is at 10?
Yeah, it's a threshold.
Yeah.
But the difficulty doesn't really matter for how many rewards you get. That's something to keep in mind. If the difficulty is higher, you're going to win less partials. So you're going to win less proofs. But each proof will give you more points. So if you have difficulty 10, you'll get 10 points per proof. If you have difficulty 9, you'll get 9 points, but you'll have them more often. So it doesn't really matter what the difficulty is.
Yeah, the trade-off there is if the difficulty is set too low, you're just going to be engaging in an obnoxious amount of chatter with the pool, which is likely to be more of a problem just for load on the pool than it is for you. And if it's too high, then your rewards are going to be pretty noisy. So that's the trade-off.
So Bram, the question is, can plot NFT plots be used with other projects?
Yes. Anything that wants to co-farm, it's not quite as clean because they're going to have special on-chain state that's going to be mapping basically the pool keys in like what are called pool keys in OG plot files that will have to map to like puzzle hashes or some kind of rewards target as some kind of special on-chain state other than just a coin set. But it's possible for them. I mean, if you want to support stuff, it's possible to build the infrastructure to do this. We made it possible to support that with PlotNFT plots because actually the farmer key is actually split in 2. So there's this key that says where the farmer reward should go. That's actually split into 2 pieces that we're just doing them as the farmer key and the local key. But basically there, the farmer key acts like the pool key does for OG plots, and the local key acts like the pool key, the plot key does. So the necessary cryptographic hook is in there so that you can do that reveal and that the rewards can go to whatever you had set the farmer key reveal target as being on the chain. So other projects who want to support those plots with pooling. Like they can actually, in fact, support the OG plots with pooling as well. They can do that. It's some work. They need to build the infrastructure to do it. It's not just like take our code base and change a few lines to say where a pre-farm goes and start with that.
Where'd you hide the pre-farm this time? Anyway, major question. Can we move the plots from original plotted NFT to another already existing NFT?
No.
Yes. Yeah, the whole point is that your plot is generated as part of your plot ID, your farmer key, and your NFT, and the entire plot changes when you change the NFT. Any tips for monitoring the debug file now that we have the PlotNFTs? Anything new to look out for?
There's some logging in the farmer that tells you whenever you submitted a partial to your pool. And also the harvester is going to do a lot more logging now because he's going to find more proofs. But apart from that, nothing has changed.
Yeah, actually, it will be doing more seeks on the, it'll be doing more lookups on farming, because it has to generate not just a quality string, but a full proof of space for each partial that it sends in. So that's both a bigger thing itself, and you're doing a whole lot more of them.
Let's see. Probably a Mariana question. What exactly is the pooling wallet that's created when making a pool NFT? Should I be using it when joining pools?
The pooling wallet is the pool NFT. It's just a different name for it in the wallet. So the pooling wallet is what keeps track of the state of the NFT. So basically, what's your public key, what's your pool URL, what's the information about that pool URL, and it keeps track of it in the blockchain. So if you have a different computer that makes changes to it, the pool wallet will detect those changes from the blockchain and update your current config file and update your PlotNFT, basically. But yeah, it's just another name for PlotNFT.
Yeah, we use wallets as abstractions to manage a lot of this sort of stuff. Let's see. We're slowing down on some of the pooling questions, and it is an AMA. Quickly to repeat, is there any way to identify which my plots are pooling or self-pooled? Not right yet, so you need to keep track of them yourself for now. Should the NFT plot count in the GUI show all pooled plots on all farmers using that NFT, or just the ones on that specific farmer? I think it's going to be that specific farmer. You may be confusing harvester with farmer here.
So you could have, so someone asked on Twitter, it's hard, there's sort of a bunch of related questions that I'm not really entirely sure what these people are asking. But you can have multiple farming wallets running on the same NFT if they have the same keys. They might get a bit confused because they don't know about the partials that the other one is submitting as they do this. So that they can get confused that way. A pretty normal thing to have happen though is if like you're farming and then your system just dies and then you do a recovery, you can have something where something is kind of confused, right? That you might have been like in the process of leaving a pool, say, and that's when you died, and then you do this recovery, and so that now your new wallet is like, I don't know what's going on here. Looks like I'm in the middle of leaving for another pool, but I don't know about this. I didn't ask for it. We do have the logic in there that at the end of the time to escape plus some delta, it'll go, well, I guess I meant to leave, so I'm going to do that, and it will like switch to self-pooling as it's doing it. So we have a bunch of cool features for being about as robust as it can if you're running multiple copies of a wallet or doing a recovery or things like that. Although on some level, you're kind of messing with yourself if you do that, because they definitely won't see each other's partials if they just are unaware of each other's existence.
So what happens if I want a farming reward in a pool and my pool rug pulls while the farming reward is still on chain?
Oh, your pool can stiff you. Like that is part of the threat model.
I asked the question badly. I was actually going to try to make a statement with that, so I'll go differently. If your pool disappears for a long enough period of time and there's an outstanding pooling reward, you can actually claim it back after leaving.
Oh yeah. If you happen to make a block, I believe we actually implemented it so that even if your pool is just offline and you happen to make a block, your wallet will steal it from the pool because it's their own fault they were offline. So,
Mariana, what do we set
you
along
can
for the time
switch
for that?
to you can switch to self pooling and then claim it yourself from the GUI. Or
yeah,
from
I think you don't even have to do an exit the way we implemented it. There's that that secondary path that I think we implemented.
Yeah, but it's not claimable yet through the secondary path.
Oh.
The Chialisp is there and it's on the blockchain. It's just that there's no interface for it yet.
Oh, the wallet doesn't just automatically go, hey, a reward, I'm going to take it. Okay. All right. We should implement that. So if you're running a pool, if you, in the future, when you go offline, people are going to steal the rewards from you.
Yep. Stay online. Folks are about to replot a lot of space. Should they do K33s or are K32s still okay?
K32s are good. Even if K32s become not good, the fix is probably going to be, it's not going to be retiring K32s. It will be to crank up the frequency of having to do lookups.
Lower the plot filter effectively. Yeah. With the raise of seeks and proofs found, will it be a point of congestion if you have a high number of plots? Will this raise the minimum requirements of farmers?
What?
So, now that you're doing partials, you're obviously looking up more than if you're self-pooling.
Yeah.
Is that going to raise the requirement the farmers have from a hardware and software perspective?
Not really. Like most farmers, the amount of seeks that are happening is just nothing, like really nothing. So increasing that by like 2 orders of magnitude is really not a big deal. If you set your work difficulty too low and you have huge drives, that could become annoying. So you do have this parameter that you can muck with, which is the work difficulty that you set with the pool.
Yeah, and also most of this activity is related to looking up the quality. So for all your plots that pass the filter, you look up the quality, and then if it's good, you look up the proof. So with pooling, we increase the number of plots that have proof lookups, but we didn't change how many plots pass the filter. So those quality lookups are still the same, but instead of like 99%, it's going to be like 90% or something. It's not like you're looking up proofs for every plot that passes the filter.
Yeah, well, the frequency of, if you're not using a pool, you only have to look up an actual full proof when you actually make a block. So that's very rare.
Right.
So there's a bunch of interrelated questions I'm just going to go ahead and answer about what is the GUI or CLI of the farmer display about your PlotNFT plots. If you've got a GUI and you've got remote harvesters, now all your remote harvester plots, both OG and PlotNFT, will show up in the total count, and you'll actually see them all pulled together. If you're running a CLI farmer, the same thing. If you've got 2 different farmers with the same key set and different plots, you will not see the plot count from the other farmer on farmer 2. So farmer 1 will have the plots that it can see, and farmer 2 will have the plots it can see.
Yeah, they will both farm. It'll actually kind of work.
It'll work. It just doesn't report it all universally.
When we add in things of saying, hey, am I getting stiffed? They might both be very confused saying, hey, I'm really getting overpaid by this pool here.
Right. So yeah, you kind of want to have one farmer at the end of the day, one logical farmer. Let's see. How safe or unsafe is it to run Chia forks on existing plots in relation to access to your private keys?
We cannot vouch for fork software in the slightest. We have no idea what that stuff is, so I don't know.
I wouldn't do it. But
I recommend to look at the source code or just check if it's open source or not. That's important as well. If you're running code that is not open source, that is pretty risky.
Yeah, in particular, especially now that we have portable plots out, we recommend you do not use unofficial pooling protocols in Chia. Those are not good. Really, really bad.
lots of bad games, no fun.
Yeah.
So we're about to replot. Will we have to replot again ever?
No.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, when your hard drive dies, unless you
right,
back
but
them up
yeah,
on something, you'll have to replot. But yeah.
We do not expect to. We expect to ship additional types of pooling protocols that may be net new plots, but it's not like you're going to get a lot more value out of it. You're most likely going to want to use this. We're talking about like the use case for a new plot method for us would be a really dumbed down client shipping on a laptop pre-installed and is only going to have like 10 plots. And so that may be a slightly different plot format that then is tied to the laptop manufacturer's pool, right?
Yeah, well, the one nice thing about the way our plot NFTs work is the NFT part of it is really just a shell. It's this holder. So we can actually upgrade to new, as long as they're not too radical of departures, you can actually upgrade to new pool protocols using the same existing plot NFTs, as long as they don't change the NFT format itself. If they just change the internal logic that it's doing, switching to an upgrade of that logic is really, you really just leave the pool and rejoin is all you'll have to do that.
Somebody asks, well, since you can claim it, your reward back from a down pool, doesn't that mean you'll try to DDoS your pool? And the answer is every pool should expect to be DDoSed. If you want to run a pool, you better be ready for tremendous attack. We have been under constant attack. It's a tremendous amount of volume that is going to dev null. It's kind of fun to watch. But yes, you absolutely, as a pool operator, are under attack. Do not become a pool operator lightly. Let's see. There's a couple questions about MadMax. Does MadMax do PlotNFTs, and will we support MadMax? Let's do the second question first.
Yeah, MadMax supports PlotNFTs. I believe it's a separate branch, pool puzzles or something.
Yeah, just be careful that it's not the primary release yet, though we haven't looked today. It might have changed. But anyway, point being, it is capable of downloading and using it. It should probably get much easier very shortly. I think he was waiting for us to get released. And on the second question, we are currently figuring out the easiest way to integrate it. Right now, it's probably going to be a kind of plug-in where you can choose, the current Chia plotter or the MadMax plotter. The MadMax plotter has a lot of limitations. It can only do K32s, and there's some other cross-platform things. So, it's going to take us a little bit of time to figure out how exactly to implement that, but you should expect it the next few weeks.
Also, someone just said the main MadMax release has the PlotNFT support as of this morning. So
yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to caveat. I just didn't want to get anybody led the wrong way on making plots with the wrong plotter there. So let's see. A couple of different questions that are fundamentally, hey, what's next? What's on the roadmap? So let's talk about the general characteristics, and if you'll hand it back to me, I can talk about when to expect an updated roadmap.
Roadmap we have lots of roadmaps of all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think we should both talk about the R&D roadmap and the engineering roadmap, right?
Yeah, so we're going to be working on improving our peer protocols and our full protocol implementation. Big emphasis on getting sync times down a lot and not requiring full sync on wallets potentially. So we understand and appreciate that that's a pain point. Sorry about that. Then in terms of like layer 2 development, we're going to be working on improved support for advanced custody arrangements, and also a lot of tokenization, trying to get tokenization of things to happen. We're really excited about carbon markets, going to be trying to get a lot of carbon credits tokenized on Chia so that markets can be set up in them. Going to be trying to get stable coins on Chia. So a lot of development around getting our colored coins implementation kind of beefed up. We got our singletons implementation pretty good, in the process of getting our pool protocol out. Not quite there yet with colored coins, going to be improving that. Going to be working towards having like real AMMs and things along those lines, a distributed exchange going on. Lots of cool stuff there. We're going to have a hackathon. I believe it's next week. And I'm going to have a blog post out giving kind of a vision of the long term. Here's all the really amazing DeFi stuff in Chia we're planning on having happen in the future.
Yep. And so everybody kind of understands where we're at. Our new head of product, which was doing the product management that I had been doing, and I do not have time to do anymore because there's a lot of go-to-market things that you'll be seeing soon that I've been working on, and our new go-to-market team, which we'll be talking about more in about a week or two. But our new head of product has been in the seat about 2 weeks, so you should expect Trello to have some major updates. We kind of hinted at this, but we're also going to split it into kind of an R&D product roadmap and an engineering roadmap. And things like some of the layer 2 pieces are going to be more in the R&D map of Bram and our advisors and partners figuring out what we want to do, and then that kind of falling down into the engineering roadmap later to then be implemented and executed on. So you'll see enhancements and some of the more well specced out things we know we want to do, like enhancing colored coins in the engineering roadmap, where the R&D roadmap is kind of going to next level things. There's one straggler question. What did we mean in the changelog about we have better error handling for misbehaving peers from naive forks or clones? Some of the forks were interacting badly with the official nodes, and the nodes were fine, but it left a really strange error, and so we cleaned up those errors. How do you confirm a payout or even see it on your PlotNFT?
The payouts will go to the wallet directly, so you'll see that on the wallet's history page.
It'll look like you just received money from somebody.
We don't yet have the whole thing like integrated going, here's how many points I got, and here's roughly how much I expect to have earned from it, and here's what I got paid from the...
Any plans to make releases for other architectures, 32-bit ARM in particular, as that would open up a lot more single board PCs? Yes, but it's pretty low priority. Most things have gotten a 64-bit and everything works in the 64-bit environments. Quite a few of our sub-repos are actually more 32-bit compatible than we thought they were, but I'd just say it's a lower priority overall, partially because I think by the time we'd get there, you'd probably be buying a new ARM 64 version. Anyway. Bram, how do you think pooling will affect netspace growth?
I think so. Netspace has been a little flat. Well, the Chia version of flat. It's been slower.
It's only up 7% per day.
No, it's been going up a lot less than 7% daily for the last few weeks. So that's represented a slowdown. I think pooling protocol will make netspace growth be a lot faster than it would have been without it. I mean, that's an annoying caveat to put in there because I don't have a clear baseline of what it would have been without it. But definitely, I think we're going to see more growth in the future than we've seen from like the last week.
Yeah. I think the internal debate is whether we're going to hit 100 exabytes or not.
By the end of this year.
Though the last time we said that. So caveat emptor.
We sandbagged, shall we say, our size estimates in the past. The growth has been not crazy for the last week. Yeah. At least on a percent daily growth basis. It's still been pretty fast. We could see it turn back up again right now to another crazy run of exponential growth.
Yeah, and anecdotal and actual evidence is that the supply chain has kind of calmed down. So prices are still higher than they used to be, but they are closer to where they were pre-launch. So drives are starting to get back in stock, and some of those changes are coming in that we had said that our partner storage companies would do. And we have a lot of interesting new news around partner storage providers that'll be coming out next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, there have been some announcements of some companies saying that they're making drives optimized for Chia plotting, basically small, long, high TBW drives, and they are in fact working on that. That is a thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be Chia optimized is what the boxes will say. So. Any insight you can share for Chialisp developers? How do you even approach building something like pooling in Chialisp? How do you think about security?
Oh boy. Well, we're going to do this hackathon on it. There's Chialisp.com has some information. We're working on improving the documentation and the tools because we were very much dogfooding what we have building our pool protocol. You think about things in a somewhat different way when you're writing stuff in Chialisp than kind of what you're used to. It's not that Chialisp is all that weird itself. It's that the on-chain state is just the coin set. And so you're kind of hiding things in coins and doing a whole bunch of cleverness, self-referential cleverness with those. So although not clear what the best way to explain the tricks is. Like I think of them in this very abstract way. And the people who have kind of learned some of the tricks, some of them seem to feel the best way to understand them is to actually just walk through an implementation of them to see what's going on. But I think in terms of kind of getting up to speed with seeing a real thing working, like actually going through the Chia pool protocol implementation is a good way of learning about things because that has singletons in it and actually doing some pretty sophisticated stuff with the singletons.
Also, the Steam resources who would be building out Chialisp.com and making it much easier to start learning Chialisp have been a little busy on pools. That has started to switch as of this week, and so you're going to see, I think, considerable increase in the tools and the videos, and we're going to have some kind of neat ability to spin up a testnet node on one click and be in an environment to go.
When people ask why haven't you done X already, the answer is, well, we were just working on pool protocol. We didn't get X done before that because we were working on getting our transactions launched. We didn't do X before that because we were working on getting our like blockchain launched. So we kind of had our hands a bit full. And then there are a lot of people who don't know software in the slightest who are like, how dare you people like launch your blockchain without pooling protocol already supported? And it's like, oh man, you have no idea about this minimum viable product concept. Like we got it out with all the hooks in there necessary to make a really, really good pool protocol. So we were actually way ahead of the game on that. But had we said, oh, we're going to wait until we have real pool protocol to launch our blockchain, we would be just about now, probably not even yet, launching our network at all, and it wouldn't be nearly as good as it is today because it wouldn't have had these things that we've been building wouldn't have had the experience of the stuff that's actually deployed being out there and getting us feedback on that.
Oh, let's see. I assume moving from a third-party pool or a pre-existing unofficial pool would be not only safer but more streamlined, and the answer is, oh yeah. We understand why people chose to use the unsafe pools, but they are unsafe. It is relatively trivial to fool them into thinking that you are a larger farmer than you are, and that means that you're being cheated by somebody somewhere on the globe. We really, really kind of underscore the idea that you need to get over to a PlotNFT if you're pooling, and you need to be on an official pooling software pool.
Yeah, that said, those pools are quite welcome to start using the official pooling protocol. And please, it would be really nice if they do that.
Yeah. And, just on HPool in particular, they've been in the community for a very long time. They were actually here last year. Now that we kind of know who is working on that, and I know they are working on deploying the new pool protocol too. So. A question about Chia lending. Banking interest rates are basically zero. Why will that be interesting? Actually, lending for us is more of the part of the product. We're going to ask a CFO of a major corporation to pay international invoices in Chia. We kind of prefer him not to have to go out in the market and buy Chia. We'd rather just give him a line of credit so he can start using the Chia and go forward. And that's going to be true of most any of our enterprise projects. It's kind of strange to be like, then you go to some strange exchange and then you wait. It's like, no. We're just going to send them the Chia and we're going to sign a contract and they're going to pay us like prime, which is pretty low. But that's the point, is it's actually increasing the ability to get going, not trying to make a ton of money off of lending. Let's see. Looking around here. Got a couple duplicate questions, so not necessarily going to re-answer. You may want to re-watch the YouTube replay. East Coast servers, no boat party for you. Are you guys aware that you need to refresh plots every time to actually show up in the pool overview? Not sure what that is.
Yeah, there are some issues with refreshing plots and plots showing up in the GUI right now that we'll fix it for the next release probably.
Yeah, we thought about trying to fix it before releasing, but the answer was we wanted to get this out as a minimum viable product, and we kind of did the refresh plots button is new to try to fix this temporarily.
I have a couple of questions from YouTube. Is the expectation that we transfer any pool rewards from the pool wallet to the standard wallet? Does that make any difference? If you're pooling with a pool, the rewards will go straight into your standard wallet. So the pool will pay you directly to your standard wallet. So they won't show up in the PlotNFT. But if you're self-farming, so if you've assigned your PlotNFT to yourself, then you have to claim the rewards manually.
There's all sorts of potential silliness because singletons are interchangeable between things. So you could if you buy like a real NFT in the future, you could start using that as a pool NFT. There's lots of silliness to be had.
I am being chastised for a lack of Hawaiian t-shirt.
Another question. When will we build in MadMax plotter into the application? We're looking into that. There's a few different things like the plot files are different and we need to make sure that it doesn't crash and that it works properly on all platforms. So there are some little things that we have to get right before we include it into the GUI, but we are looking into that.
It'll probably be included as an option and not the only option.
Can I farm 2 different keys plots on one farmer? Yes, you can have multiple keys on the same farmer. And you can also have multiple PlotNFTs per key. So you can have like multiple PlotNFTs in each key. Just make sure to sync the wallet before you farm. That's the thing you need to do. You need to sync that key before the farmer can see the PlotNFT on the blockchain. But if you sync that key, then you can farm it properly.
Okay. Someone else asking, since we're replotting and we have more disk activity, should I change my K size? And the answer continues to be no. You're not going to see much difference really at all. From almost nothing to twice almost nothing.
If you're farming solo OG plots, will it farm normally without having to do anything special? Yes. Those plots are not affected at all. They'll farm normally.
How does the wallet handle more than one PlotNFT?
Each PlotNFT is a different wallet, so it keeps track of its own transactions on the blockchain. So your one of your keys can have many different sub wallets. One of them is a standard wallet, and each PlotNFT counts as its own wallet as well. And it looks at the blockchain. Whenever there's any block, it checks if there's any changes to your pool from like a different computer or from the same computer. So yeah, it just keeps track of multiple of them. And then whenever you create a plot, you can select which PlotNFT you want to assign your plots to. And when you're farming, each PlotNFT can have a different difficulty. So your harvester will get the list of all the PlotNFTs and all the difficulties. So depending on which plot you're farming, a different difficulty will be used, and the harvester manages that.
My wallet also address was switching automatically after joining a pool, and one mojo was sometimes displayed as income of about 1.7499 Chia. Why is that, Mariano?
That is because transactions are a little different on Chia. There are no transactions on the blockchain. A block is just a list of removed coins and added coins, because we're using a coin set model that has a lot of benefits for efficiency and simplicity. That the reason why we do this is, Bram can explain that, but that means that when you're syncing a computer, it's sometimes hard to know who the payees were and what the exact amount of different transactions were. All you can see is coins incoming and outgoing. So the balance and the incoming outgoing of different transactions is kind of weird when you're syncing.
Also, when you're spending, if you had 2 Chia, it's a single coin. And so what you're seeing is the change from your 0.000000001 Chia coming back at you as a coin that now is the 1.99 coin, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And go ahead, Bram.
Yeah, you might also sometimes, if someone sends you something, they're like a transaction fee that's like 1 mojo might get taken out of it. So that 0.99999 is pretty literal in that case.
Literal. Okay.
There are, for those who don't know, there are the minimum divisible fraction that there is of a Chia is called a mojo, and it's there are 1 trillion mojos in a Chia.
1 trillion. Okay. When will you give Mariano a vacation from the caffeine-fueled all-night coding marathons?
The whole team, including myself, is a little wiped after a whole series of all hands on deck emergencies that have been happening. We've been trying to not have people be pulling lots of all-nighters during this, because that's completely unsustainable, but a lot of people are overdue for vacations and taking a bit of a break. So we're going to be doing some of that.
There's a kind of a countervailing force of, we doubled the size of the development team in the last 45 days. Those people are just starting to get really productive, because they had to go through the learning curve of them too learning things like Chialisp and how this all works. So even though some of the core OG team members will be getting some vacation time, you actually probably see a pretty good ongoing sustained pace of weekly release. We're not committed to weekly release, but that's probably about the tempo we'll be on. Let's see.
Another question from YouTube. Why did we not build in singletons directly into the blockchain, Bram?
We all the state on the blockchain is in the coin set. And everything is built layer 2 on top of that. That's in the interest of making everything very versatile and auditable in terms of how the logic works, and making it so that it's really, really simple to run a full node and define what the consensus rules are. This is a way in which we're very, very different from like Solidity. That Solidity, the EVM, has very extremely rich on-chain state, which makes actually defining the behavior of Ethereum full nodes kind of a disaster. And it's very easy to have things not behave the way you expect them to, and to have consensus failures. Because of that, where in Chia, it's a little bit extreme in terms of all state is just in the coin set. That's all the state in the universe that exists is there are coins. That's all you need to know. And that makes everything much, much nicer from a security, auditability, reliability, scaling standpoint. with some trade-offs from a software development standpoint. That it requires, like, it doesn't have the property that someone who's just a web developer can sit down, having never done it before, and have what looks like a working application in an afternoon. Can't do that. But it actually turns out that when you do build things in Chialisp, they're much better things. When you're done, they're much more secure. They're much more versatile. You get all kinds of crazy things, like the upcoming preview of stuff about AMMs is if you're actually building an AMM in Chia, instead of the AMM like remembering everyone's balances, the AMM just has its own internal colored coin. That when you have balances in the AMM, those are coins that you yourself custody that you then redeem with the AMM. In the future, and you can actually trade those themselves on exchanges and stuff. You wind up doing things in ways that are really a lot better for this, with some overhead up front in terms of difficulty getting things working in the first place.
For some of those who are watching, what's an AMM?
AMM stands for Automated Market Maker, things like Uniswap and things like that.
Thanks. So is it detrimental to have multiple machines plotting and farming in the same network or on different wallets? There's no impact to having as many machines as you want plotting. And in fact, if a plotting machine is there, you don't even really have to turn the node on at all. You just run the plotter once you're either running it from the binary or running it from inside the Git repo. What you want to watch out for is having more than one full node on the same network, with both of them having UPnP enabled. Very, very bad things happen when that happens, because your router gets confused about how to get the traffic from the peer-to-peer network back to whichever node you're talking to. So you generally want to have one node per firewall is the way to think about it. Everything else, no big deal. And very much designed that you can have like a remote harvester on another machine that's also plotting away, and then the farmer and the full node are on a different machine that's maybe more powerful, or a Pi or something like that. So. Are there fees to change pools? If so, are these fees determined by the pools?
No, the fees are just blockchain fees. So whenever you submit a transaction into the blockchain, you have to add a fee to it, because there's a limited number of slots for transactions on the blockchain. It doesn't have infinite capacity. And the farmers who are including the transactions need to decide which transactions to include. So they're going to include the transactions that pay the most fee to the farmer, because they have a profit incentive. So whenever you submit a transaction, you have to add a little bit of a fee to it. Right now, you can put 0 because the blockchain is not full yet. When the blockchain gets full, you're going to have to add a little bit of a fee, maybe a few cents.
Or just a few mojos.
Mojos, yeah. So that's the fee you're going to have to pay in order to switch pools, or to create PlotNFTs, or to send the normal transaction.
Like in Bitcoin, you're probably going to see a lot of the normal stuff where you have like a day-night cycle of fees, where they're larger during the day and smaller or possibly nothing overnight. So there will always be kind of a premium on how impatient are you, what time is it kind of questions on fees. And we do expect fees to become real over time, that you're going to start seeing fees that are high enough that they cause somebody to either optimize their systems or just skip certain transactions entirely as a result of there being transaction fees. That's a normal thing that you have when you have a database that has limited capacity. Chia's nominal, base level capacity is roughly speaking 4 times what Bitcoin's is in terms of raw capability, but we anticipate it will get full enough that there's some transaction fee pressure at some point in the future.
Let's see. Also along those lines, in the next few weeks, our first version of our fee estimator will likely make it into the full node wallet. So you'll start to have at least a little more logic that you can write automated things against to, like, not overspend fees, those kinds of things. And then we directly do replace by fee as well, correct?
Not sure about that. It's going to tell you like different things of like, here's how much I think you should do if you want it, if you're really super impatient, and here's how much it is you're like a little impatient, right. And here's how much if you really don't care you should use as a fee. Okay, I have a bit error in my head about replaced by fee. In Bitcoin, the way people talk about it is that replaced by fee is the feature. That's not really what's going on. The mempool's not supporting replaced by fee is the feature, and the default is replaced by fee. So sometimes I state things backwards when I'm talking about replaced by fee. Mempool's not allowing replaced by fee is fucking insane and stupid. Zero conf is not a thing. We are never going to make any overtures whatsoever to supporting that mal feature.
But so you could always increase the fee on a previously existing transaction that's not getting through. That was kind of the thing I was wanting to get at. Yeah. Is there a healthy ratio for number of harvesters to run based on the amount of your space plotted? Are there diminishing returns? I'll take that one. The answer is no. You should think of harvester more as making sure that the harvester is running on the CPU closest to the disk. So, if you have a network attached storage device, you'd like to have harvester running on it, and then your main computer would have farmer and maybe another harvester too. It's more about the logical network than it is about kind of load on the individual harvesters. If you get up to really, really, really obscene numbers, sometimes it's good to split the harvester because you get, total load time can be really long for some of the, multi-petabyte folk. But even there, you're talking about splitting it into two instead of one.
Do you guys see any upcoming support for Chia wallets outside of running a Chia node, mobile wallets, Trezor, etc.?
Yes, we have news coming on that in about, I have to ask Jay, but very soon. We'll be launching the Chia Cultivate program with that, and it's the ability for us to give grants to teams who come to us with interesting and detailed specifications, what they'd like to build, and help build out the ecosystem. We're a little different company in the sense of you don't necessarily have to work for us, but if you are competent and good at what you do, it's going to be pretty easy through pull requests and other things to come work for us. So the idea is that we can support you if you want to start your own startup, or we can support you if you just want to be heads down and doing cool stuff. So, and giving Mariana more time off. And Adam and Matt Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a long list. I'm leaving people out. I apologize. Okay, let's see. It's 5 o'clock. Let me take a quick scan around. I think that's about it. I'll always do the fun thing here. How many exabytes at the end of August?
At the end of August, I'm gonna say
30.5 right this second.
It's saying what, 30.5?
30.5 exabytes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say by the end of August, I'm gonna say 40. And let's see. I think we're gonna see growth tick back up a little bit. I could be
thinking 47.5 by the end of August.
Well, I'm going with Jay and saying 55. I always think it was more around 50, but still. Okay. Well, look at that, guys. Now that we've got pools out, I think we can start doing some more of the stuff we've been wanting to do. We'd like to start doing a bit more of a developer call for developers who are contributing and not just on team. Also hoping to do some more of these more often. We have staffed up considerably. We have more than doubled the company in size, and you'll be hearing about a lot of that more, but that is nice because those folks are now getting on board, getting comfortable, and starting to take on a lot of the new things we'd like to be doing, but couldn't do before because we didn't have enough people. So anyway, exciting times, and you'll be hearing more from us and more releases from us. Anything to add? Okay. Thanks, everybody, and have a great evening or morning, depending on where you are.
Hi, everybody.